All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're tackling something huge, one of life's most challenging and honestly most misunderstood concepts, forgiveness. And we're doing it through the totally fascinating lens of Ifá philosophy. If you're someone who loves structured, actionable frameworks for your own personal growth, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to break down how to actually let go of pain, not by faking it, but by mastering it. So, I want you to start by just taking a quick second to think of someone you hold some resentment toward. Could be an old friend, a coworker, maybe even a family member. Got someone in mind? Okay, good. Now ask yourself, what does it actually mean to forgive them? For a lot of us, the whole idea of forgiveness feels incredibly heavy, right? Kind of like this massive burden. We just naturally assume that forgiving means pretending nothing bad ever happened, like it's this passive, give-in kind of thing. But is it really?
Well, this is where the common myth clashes head-on with Ifá reality. The myth is exactly what we just talked about, that forgiveness means sweeping it all under the rug, or worse, that you literally have to let that person back into your life so they can hurt you again. No way. In reality, Ifá teaches us that forgiveness has absolutely nothing to do with letting the offender off the hook. Actually, it's entirely about liberating yourself. It is a tool for your own freedom, not some free pass for someone else's bad behavior.
To get to that state of true liberation, here's our roadmap for This Explainer. First, the misconception of forgiveness. Second, liberating your Ori. Third, wisdom, strength, and boundaries. Fourth, the 5 steps to finding peace, which is our absolute core focus today. And finally, the power of self-forgiveness. Let's dive in.
All right, part 1, the misconception of forgiveness, or why letting go isn't giving in. Look, when you hold on to bitterness, you aren't actually punishing the other person. You're just forcing yourself to carry yesterday's pain directly into today. Moving to part 2, liberating your Ori, the center of Ifá philosophy. This is the exact moment we stop talking about forgiving them and pivot entirely to your own internal state. Now, to really get this, we have to understand the Ori. In Ifá teachings, your Ori is your inner self. It's your consciousness, your personal destiny. Think of it as the very core of who you are. When you refuse to forgive, your Ori gets bogged down, literally burdened by what should have been left in the past. So forgiveness, it's simply the conscious choice to stop dumping the heavy weight of resentment onto your own inner self. You forgive not for them, but to unburden your Ori. Which brings us to part 3, wisdom, strength, and boundaries. Because remember, forgiveness is not forgetfulness.
You see, you can forgive someone while still keeping your guard up. If someone lies to you, forgive them, sure, but remember the lesson. If someone betrays your trust, forgive them, but definitely don't abandon your wisdom. And if someone repeatedly harms you, forgive them, but establish strict, healthy boundaries. Ifá never, ever tells us to trade our wisdom for naivete. You can completely let go of the anger while keeping your protective walls firmly in place.
Because honestly, anyone can become bitter. Anybody can seek revenge. That's the easy way out. But it takes immense strength to look at a situation and say, I refuse to let your actions disturb the peace of my Ori. Just let that sink in for a second. That right there, that is the sound of true freedom. You are officially revoking their power to dictate your internal emotional state.
Okay, part 4, the 5 steps to finding peace, the Ifá framework for letting go. Like I mentioned, this is the core focus of our explainer today. So here is the exact step-by-step framework for how to actually pull this off and find lasting peace. I definitely take notes here. Step 1, acknowledge the hurt. No toxic positivity, no pretending the damage didn't happen, face it head on. Step 2, accept that you cannot change the past. It's locked in time, and fighting what already happened is only going to exhaust your Ori. Step 3, release the desire for revenge. Vengeance just ties you permanently to the person who hurt you, so cut that cord. Step 4, learn the lesson. What did this teach you about trust, or people, or your own limits? Extract the data, but leave the emotion behind. And finally, step 5, the most crucial of all. Choose peace for your Ori. You have to make an active, daily choice that your internal peace is way more valuable than your bitterness. Why? Because bitterness wounds the Ori that carries it far more deeply than the person who originally caused the pain. Mastering these 5 steps to finding peace is literally how you reclaim your life.
And that leads us to our final section, part 5, the power of self-forgiveness, releasing your past mistakes. Now, everything we've talked about so far is about how we treat others, right? But what happens when the person who wronged you is actually you? So many of us are just walking around completely trapped by mistakes we made years ago. But Ifá reminds us that wisdom grows through experience. So, if you're carrying guilt, ask yourself these 3 actionable things. Have you learned from it? Have you actively changed your behavior? And have you taken responsibility for the fallout? If you can honestly answer yes to those, then guess what? You have earned your own forgiveness. You can't let guilt become this permanent, rotting weight on your ori. Your past is supposed to be your teacher, definitely not your prison cell.
Before we wrap things up, I really want to highlight one of the most profound lessons in this whole framework. Forgiveness does not always restore relationships. Sometimes it just restores your ori. And honestly, that is a massive relief for so many people. Not every relationship in your life is meant to continue. Not every door you closed should be reopened just because you found it in your heart to forgive. Actually, sometimes the absolute greatest act of forgiveness is simply letting go, moving forward with your new wisdom, and never looking back. So I want to leave you with a direct challenge for today. Bring that person you thought of at the beginning of this explainer right back into your mind. You know, the one you hold that resentment toward. Ask yourself honestly, is this bitterness helping my ori or hurting my ori? If it's hurting you, and let's be real, it almost certainly is, maybe today is the day you start walking through those 5 steps to finding peace and releasing that weight. Not because the person who hurt you deserves your forgiveness, but simply because your inner self, your ori, absolutely deserves peace. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep structuring your growth, and I'll see you next time.